Admiral Jake Morrison sat in the massive assembly hall of the Galactic Council Station and watched the reptilian creatures deliver their demands. The Zephyrians stood at the center podium with their scales gleaming under the bright lights, and their yellow eyes scanning the gathered representatives of 47 different species. General Vextar raised his clawed hand and pointed directly at the small human delegation. The Terran Federation has held 3 outer colonies for 22 years without proper development or adequate defense. The Zephyrian leader announced in his hissing voice, "These worlds contain rare minerals that could benefit the entire galaxy. But humans lack the technology and military strength to protect such valuable resources from pirate attacks and hostile forces." Commander Lydia Brooks shifted in her seat in the gallery above the main floor and felt her jaw tighten as she listened to the accusations. She had served on 2 of those colonies and knew the humans had built thriving settlements with advanced mining operations and strong defensive systems. The Zephyrians were lying, but no one in the council seemed to care about the truth. General Vextar activated a holographic display that showed star charts and fleet compositions. The 3-dimensional images floated above the assembly floor and drew gasps from several alien representatives. "Behold the pathetic human military presence," he declared with obvious satisfaction. "Earth maintains a total fleet of only 200 vessels scattered across 12 systems, while the Zephyrian Empire commands 50,000 ships of superior design and firepower." The crystalline ethereals chimed in harmony to show their agreement, while the insectoid hive collective clicked their mandibles in what Morrison recognized as approval. The gaseous vortons swirled in their containment suits and created patterns that indicated amusement. Every major species in the galaxy seemed to find human weakness entertaining rather than concerning. Captain Rick Davis leaned forward from his position behind Morrison and whispered quietly enough that only human ears could detect the words. "Sir, the real numbers are ready for transmission whenever you give the order," he said while maintaining a neutral expression, for the benefit of alien observers who might be watching their delegation. Morrison gave an almost invisible nod but kept his attention focused on the Zephyrian presentation. He had spent 5 years preparing for this moment and knew that humanity's survival might depend on playing their cards exactly right. The galaxy viewed humans as primitive newcomers who had stumbled into space travel through luck rather than skill. The Zephyrian Empire hereby demands immediate transfer of colonial rights to the worlds designated as New Geneva, Harvest Point, and Terra Nova. General Vextar continued while his display showed detailed orbital scans of the 3 human settlements. "These colonies will be incorporated into our resource redistribution program to ensure maximum efficiency and proper galactic utilization." The ethereal representative spoke in musical tones that the translation systems converted into standard galactic. "The proposal demonstrates wisdom and practical resource management," the crystalline being stated. "Species with limited defensive capabilities should not maintain control over strategically valuable territories." Morrison stood slowly and felt the attention of thousands of alien eyes focus on his small human frame. He appeared calm and diplomatic, but his mind was racing through calculations and contingencies. "The Terran Federation respectfully requests the standard 72-hour deliberation period before responding to this proposal," he said in clear, measured tones. The request drew chuckles and amused sounds from various species throughout the chamber. The slug-like gastropods left wet trails on their seats as they writhed with what passed for laughter among their kind. The mechanical synthetics emitted electronic sounds that indicated humor, while their optical sensors focused on the human delegation with obvious condescension. "Of course the humans need time to consider surrender," muttered a Vortan delegate loud enough for the translation systems to pick up the comment. "Their primitive brains require extended processing periods for simple decisions." General Vexatar spread his arms wide in a gesture of magnanimous victory. "The Zephyrian Empire grants this request, though the outcome remains inevitable," he announced. 3 standard days will be sufficient time for humans to recognize their limitations and accept galactic reality." The session concluded with formal procedures and diplomatic ceremonies that Morrison endured with practiced patience. He shook clawed hands, exchanged ritual greetings with beings who breathed methane, and maintained pleasant conversations with creatures who considered his species barely evolved from primitive animals. Captain Davis waited until they reached the privacy of their assigned quarters before speaking freely. "Sir, every major power in the galaxy believes we're defenseless," he said while activating security scramblers that would prevent alien surveillance devices from monitoring their conversation. "The intelligence reports show they've completely underestimated our true capabilities." Commander Brooks joined them after completing her own diplomatic obligations. "The Zephyrians have been planning this move for months," she reported while reviewing data on her portable device. "They've convinced the other species that humans represent a resource management problem that needs correction." Morrison walked to the large viewport that showed the sprawling council station, with ships from dozens of different civilizations docked at various levels. Some vessels were elegant crystalline constructs that seemed to sing as they moved through space, while others appeared to be living creatures bred for interstellar travel. The human ships looked small and unremarkable, compared to the exotic technologies displayed by older galactic powers. "They see exactly what we want them to see," Morrison said quietly, while watching a massive Zephyrian dreadnought maneuver past their window. 50 years of careful planning and strategic deception have brought us to this moment." Davis pulled out a secure communication device that connected directly to Earth through quantum entanglement channels. "Should I contact President Carter and inform her that the revelation protocol may be necessary?" he asked while his finger hovered over the activation switch. Brooks checked her chronometer and calculated the time differences between their current location and various human installations throughout the galaxy. "If we're going to drop the pretense, we need to coordinate the timing perfectly," she observed. "Every hidden base and cloaked facility must be ready to reveal themselves simultaneously." Morrison continued staring out at the alien ships and remembered his first assignment as a young officer, when humans had barely achieved faster than light travel. The galaxy had seemed impossibly vast and filled with species so advanced that humanity appeared destined to remain forever in their shadow. Now he knew the truth about galactic politics and the real balance of power among the stars. "Send the message," he ordered, while turning away from the viewport. "Tell the President that Project Silent Thunder is now authorized for full implementation." His voice carried the weight of a decision that would change the galaxy forever. President Linda Carter received the encrypted message from Admiral Morrison at exactly 3 a.m. Earth time. She read the brief text twice before activating the emergency protocols that would summon the Shadow Cabinet to their hidden meeting facility beneath the Antarctic ice sheet. Within 2 hours, the most classified group of military leaders in human history gathered around a circular table that had never appeared on any official government record. General Paul Martinez arrived first through the underground transport system that connected major world capitals to this secret location. He carried sealed briefcases containing files that even the regular Earth Defense Force commanders had never seen. Colonel Amy Foster followed with her team of specialists who managed humanity's most advanced weapons programs. Lieutenant Commander Steve Parker brought holographic projectors loaded with data that would shock any alien intelligence service. Dr. Helen Rodriguez entered the chamber with her assistants carrying samples of technology that officially did not exist. The chief xenotechnology specialist had spent 20 years reverse engineering alien devices that humans had quietly acquired through methods that violated several galactic treaties. Her work had given humanity capabilities that surpassed most established civilizations. President Carter activated the room's advanced security systems that created an impenetrable barrier against any form of surveillance or communication interception. The quantum field generators hummed to life and isolated the chamber from the rest of reality in ways that even the most advanced alien sensors could not penetrate. She looked around the table at faces that carried the weight of humanity's greatest secret. "Admiral Morrison has confirmed that the Zephyrians are demanding our outer colonies," she announced while displaying the message from the council station. "The galaxy believes we are too weak to resist and expects us to surrender without a fight." General Martinez opened his first briefcase and activated a holographic display that showed the real scope of human military presence throughout the galaxy. "For 50 years we have maintained the illusion that Earth possesses only 200 ships," he said, while 3-dimensional images filled the air above the table. "The actual numbers tell a very different story." The hologram revealed hidden shipyards scattered across dozens of star systems, where human engineers had constructed vessels using resources that appeared to be simple asteroid mining operations. Colonel Foster highlighted installations that had been camouflaged, as research stations or merchant trading posts, but actually served as military bases. Equipped with the most advanced weapons in known space. Lieutenant Commander Parker expanded the display to show fleet compositions and defensive positions. Our visible scout fleet of 200 ships represents less than 1% of actual human military strength, he explained, while manipulating the holographic controls. We currently maintain over 80,000 combat vessels in various states of readiness throughout the galaxy. Dr. Rodriguez activated her own presentation system that revealed the technological capabilities of the hidden fleet. Every ship in our secret armada incorporates reverse-engineered systems from 12 different alien civilizations, she reported, while displaying weapon specifications and defensive capabilities. We have improved upon their original designs and created hybrid technologies that exceed the performance of any single species. The images showed human vessels equipped with ethereal, crystal matrix shields that could deflect energy weapons while simultaneously using Zephyrian plasma cannons enhanced with Vortan, dimensional phasing technology, ships designed with Hive Collective adaptive armor that could reconfigure itself during combat while mounting synthetic precision targeting systems that never miss their intended targets. Colonel Foster highlighted humanity's most devastating innovation. We have perfected quantum displacement weaponry that can phase enemy shields out of dimensional alignment, she explained, while the hologram demonstrated the technology in simulated combat scenarios. Their defensive systems simply cease to exist in the same reality as our attacks. Lieutenant Commander Parker revealed another breakthrough that had taken decades to achieve. Temporal disruption fields allow us to cause enemy weapons to fire backwards through time, he said while showing test footage of alien projectiles hitting their own launch platforms. We can literally make their attacks occur before they decide to shoot. Dr. Rodriguez presented the crowning achievement of human engineering. Reality anchors prevent faster-than-light travel in targeted regions of space, she announced, while displaying the massive devices that could trap entire enemy fleets in normal space. No alien technology can escape once we deploy these systems. President Carter studied the displays and calculated the implications of revealing humanity's true capabilities. What about our greatest advantage, she asked while looking directly at Dr. Rodriguez. Have you completed the adaptability project? The scientist smiled and activated a new set of holograms that showed human ships literally changing their configuration during simulated battles. We have weaponized humanity's natural ability to adapt and overcome obstacles, she explained, while the images demonstrated vessels modifying their hull structures in real time. Our ships can analyze enemy tactics and automatically reconfigure themselves to counter any attack. General Martinez pulled out additional files that contained intelligence reports from human operatives stationed throughout the galaxy. Our diplomatic missions have actually been reconnaissance and resource acquisition operations, he admitted, while spreading classified documents across the table. Every human ambassador, trade representative, and cultural exchange student has been gathering information about alien military capabilities and strategic weaknesses. Colonel Foster revealed the scope of human infiltration into galactic society. We have agents embedded in every major alien military organization, she reported while displaying personnel files with code names and assignments. They have been feeding us detailed intelligence about fleet movements, weapon specifications, and tactical doctrines for decades. The president reviewed all the information before making the decision that would change the course of galactic history. How long will it take to prepare all hidden facilities for simultaneous revelation, she asked while calculating the political and military implications of dropping humanity's peaceful facade. Lieutenant Commander Parker consulted his chronometer and began sending coded signals to installations across the galaxy. Every cloaked shipyard and camouflaged base can be ready for full disclosure within 18 hours, he reported, while his communications reached human facilities that had never officially existed. The coordination protocols are already in place. Dr. Rodriguez began preparing her teams for the technological demonstration that would accompany the military revelation. Our most advanced weapons systems are powered up and ready for operational testing, she confirmed, while reviewing data from laboratories hidden throughout human space. The galaxy is about to discover what happens when humanity stops pretending to be weak. President Carter stood and looked around the table at the people who had dedicated their lives to preparing for this moment. "Execute Operation Silent Thunder," she ordered while activating the final authorization codes. It is time for the galaxy to learn the truth about human military power. Admiral Morrison walked into the council chamber with Captain Nancy Wells and Major Chris Thompson flanking him on both sides. The three humans moved with a confidence that had not been present during their previous appearances before the Galactic Assembly. Morrison carried himself like a predator who had finally decided to reveal his true nature to prey that had grown too comfortable in his presence. The assembled representatives of 47 civilizations waited with barely concealed anticipation for humanity's surrender to Zephyrian demands. General Vextar sat in the front row with his scaled hands folded across his chest and his yellow eyes gleaming with satisfaction. The other species had already begun discussing how to divide human territories among themselves once the formal capitulation was announced. Morrison approached the central podium and activated the speaking system that would broadcast his words throughout the galaxy. The Terran Federation has reached a decision regarding the Zephyrian ultimatum, he announced in a voice that carried no trace of fear or uncertainty. We formally and completely reject all demands for the surrender of human colonial territories. Confused murmurs rippled through the chamber as alien representatives tried to process this unexpected response. The ethereals chimed in discordant notes while the Hive Collective clicked their mandibles in agitation. Several species began speaking simultaneously, in their native languages before the translation systems could convert their words into standard. Galactic Captain Wells stepped forward and activated a portable holographic projector that she had concealed beneath her diplomatic robes. Furthermore, Morrison continued while three-dimensional images began forming above the assembly floor. The Terran Federation declares a complete reassessment of humanity's position within this Council and our relationship with all galactic civilizations. The holographic display revealed star charts that showed human presence in systems that the Council had believed were empty or uninhabited. Red markers appeared throughout 3 galaxy arms indicating installations that had never been reported to galactic authorities. The scope of human expansion became clear as hundreds of previously unknown facilities materialized in the projection. Major Thompson activated additional displays that showed recovered artifacts and weapons from extinct civilizations. For 50 years, humanity has been conducting what we term aggressive archaeology, Morrison explained while images of ancient battlefields and ruined cities filled the air. We have not merely studied the remains of dead species but recovered and reverse-engineered their most advanced technologies. The chamber erupted into chaos as representatives realized the implications of these revelations. Species that had considered themselves the inheritors of galactic civilization discovered that humans had been excavating the ruins of their predecessors and learning from civilizations that had been destroyed millennia before current powers had achieved spaceflight. Commander Sarah Phillips entered the chamber and connected her systems to the main display network. The holographic projection expanded to show the real extent of human space presence with installations in systems that bordered every major alien territory. Mining operations that had appeared to be simple resource extraction revealed themselves as advanced manufacturing facilities capable of producing military hardware. Our diplomatic missions throughout the galaxy have served multiple purposes beyond simple cultural exchange. Morrison continued while the evidence of human deception accumulated in the air above the stunned assembly. Every trade agreement, every scientific collaboration, every peaceful contact has allowed us to study your technologies, map your territories, and assess your military capabilities. Colonel Danny Brooks activated another set of projections that revealed the true nature of human exploration and colonization efforts. Ships that had been registered as scientific research vessels were shown to be advanced reconnaissance platforms, equipped with sensors that could penetrate any known cloaking technology. Human trading posts scattered throughout alien space were revealed to be intelligence-gathering stations. General Vextar rose from his seat with his scales bristling in rage and his claws extended. "These are desperate lies from a dying species," he hissed while pointing his taloned finger at the human delegation. "No primitive civilization could achieve such deception without detection by our advanced surveillance networks." Morrison smiled with an expression that would have been recognized by any predator as the look of a hunter who had finally cornered his prey. "Computer," he said in a calm voice that carried clearly throughout the silent chamber. "Execute Protocol 7. The response was immediate and galaxy-spanning. Every monitoring station, every deep space sensor array, every military installation suddenly detected massive energy signatures appearing from locations that had registered as empty space only moments before. 80,000 human vessels materialized simultaneously throughout known space as their cloaking systems deactivated on command. The Council Chamber's communication systems exploded with panicked reports from every major civilization. Zephyrian fleet commanders reported human ships appearing within their defensive perimeters. Ethereal crystal gardens found themselves surrounded by vessels that had been invisible until that moment. Hive Collective Worlds discovered human battle groups in orbit around their most sensitive installations. The Vortan delegate's containment suit began leaking gas as the creature inside experienced what passed for shock among his gaseous species. "Impossible," he whispered while his translation device struggled to convert his distress into coherent words. "Our sensors would have detected such massive fleet movements." Morrison gestured toward the displays that continued showing real-time reports of human ships appearing throughout the galaxy. "Your sensors detected exactly what we wanted them to detect," he explained while Captain Wells highlighted specific examples of human stealth technology. "We have been hiding in plain sight for 5 decades while you convinced yourselves that we were primitive and harmless." The mechanical synthetics began emitting rapid electronic sounds that indicated extreme computational stress as their artificial intelligences attempted to process the revelation that their supposedly perfect logic had been completely deceived. Several units began sparking as their systems overloaded from trying to reconcile this new reality with their previous assessments. Commander Phillips revealed another layer of human preparation. "Every major trade route, every strategic resource, every military checkpoint now has human vessels within striking distance," she announced while the holographic display showed the tactical positions that humanity had achieved through decades of careful positioning. Galaxy believed it knew humanity's capabilities and intentions, Morrison said while looking directly at General Vextar, whose reptilian features had gone pale with comprehension. "That belief was our greatest weapon and your most fatal mistake." The chamber fell into absolute silence as the full scope of human deception became clear to every alien representative. The species that had dismissed humanity as weak newcomers now faced the terrifying reality that they had been living under the observation and potential control of a civilization that had been preparing for this moment since their first contact with galactic society. Morrison walked toward the exit with his companions while leaving the assembly to contemplate their new situation. "The Terran Federation will present our revised terms for galactic coexistence tomorrow," he announced without looking back at the stunned aliens. "We suggest you prepare accordingly." General Vextar refused to believe that his intelligence networks could have been so completely deceived by a species he considered barely evolved from primitive animals. The Zephyrian Empire had built its reputation on military superiority and the systematic conquest of weaker civilizations over thousands of years. No upstart species would be permitted to challenge that legacy with lies and technological impossibilities. Within 6 hours of the Council, revelation, the Zephyrian war machine began moving toward human space with the largest fleet mobilization in their recorded history. 15,000 of their most advanced warships assembled under Vextar's personal command, including the massive dreadnought Scales of Victory that served as his flagship. The vessel stretched over 3 kilometers in length and mounted weapons capable of cracking planetary surfaces. The target was New Geneva, one of the 3 colonies that the Zephyrians had demanded in their original ultimatum. Intelligence reports indicated that the human settlement possessed only minimal defensive installations and a small garrison fleet that could be overwhelmed within minutes. Vextar intended to demonstrate that human claims of hidden military strength were desperate bluffs designed to avoid inevitable surrender. "Captain." Tony Garcia received warning of the approaching Zephyrian armada while reviewing defensive preparations aboard his command vessel UES Retribution. The human fleet positioned around New Geneva appeared to number only 50 ships scattered in loose formations that suggested amateur tactical planning. Garcia maintained communication silence while his crews prepared weapons and systems that the enemy would never see coming. Lieutenant Colonel Maria Santos monitored the Zephyrian approach from her station aboard the orbital defense platform that appeared to be nothing more than a civilian research facility. Her teams had spent months preparing the reality anchor arrays that would trap the entire enemy fleet in normal space once they arrived. The massive devices were camouflaged as atmospheric processors and mining equipment. Commander Alex Johnson commanded a squadron of vessels that looked like converted merchant ships with minimal armament and weak shielding. His pilots had trained extensively in deception tactics that made their ships appear vulnerable, while concealing advanced weapon systems and defensive capabilities. The Zephyrians would discover too late that appearances could be fatally deceiving. The enemy fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the New Geneva system with the confidence of predators approaching helpless prey. Vextar's tactical displays showed exactly what he expected to see: a small human colony defended by obsolete ships and inadequate orbital installations. The Zephyrian general opened communication channels to demand immediate surrender. Primitive humans, his voice hissed across the void while his fleet began advancing in battle formation. You will evacuate this system immediately and transfer all colonial assets to Zephyrian authority or face complete destruction. Captain Garcia responded with the calm voice of someone who held all the advantages in an apparently hopeless situation. Zephyrian forces are ordered to withdraw from human territory or face the consequences of unprovoked aggression, he announced while his hidden weapon systems began charging to full power. Vextar laughed with the sound of scales scraping against metal. 50 obsolete vessels against 15,000 advanced warships, he declared, while targeting systems locked onto human positions. Your species will learn the price of defying superior civilizations. The Zephyrian attack began with overwhelming firepower designed to eliminate human resistance within the first few minutes of combat. Thousands of plasma bolts and energy beams streaked across space toward targets that appeared helpless against such massive assault. Vextar expected to watch human ships explode in brilliant fireballs that would end the battle before it truly began. Instead, he witnessed the first demonstration of humanity's true military capabilities. Lieutenant Colonel Santos activated the reality anchors that created dimensional distortions throughout the battlefield. The Zephyrian fleet found themselves trapped in normal space with their hyperspace drives completely disabled. Retreat became impossible as the laws of physics were manipulated by human technology. Commander Johnson deployed quantum displacement weaponry that phased Zephyrian shields out of dimensional alignment. The alien defensive systems simply ceased to exist in the same reality as human attacks, while their ships remained vulnerable to weapons fire. Centuries of shield technology became worthless in seconds as human science redefined the rules of space combat. Major Frank Lewis coordinated the deployment of temporal disruption fields that caused Zephyrian weapons to fire backwards through time. Enemy plasma bolts struck their own ships before the weapons had finished charging, while missile salvos exploded inside the launch tubes of vessels that had not yet decided to fire them. The Zephyrian fleet began destroying itself with attacks that occurred before they were initiated. The systematic demonstration of human superiority continued as adaptive combat protocols activated throughout the human fleet. Captain Garcia watched his ships literally evolve during the battle, as their hulls shifted configuration to deflect new types of attacks. Armor plating rearranged itself to present optimal angles while weapon systems reconfigured to exploit weaknesses in enemy defenses. Colonel Lisa Mitchell unleashed the consciousness virus that represented humanity's ultimate weapon against technologically advanced civilizations. The malicious software infiltrated Zephyrian AI systems and turned their own ships against each other. Fleet coordination collapsed as vessels began attacking their former allies under the control of human programming. Vextar watched in horror as half his fleet opened fire on the other half while their crews struggled helplessly against computer systems that no longer responded to their commands. The scales of victory shuddered under impacts from weapons that should have been protecting the flagship. Emergency alarms echoed through corridors as Zephyrian technology betrayed its creators. The battle that was supposed to last minutes stretched into a systematic dismantling of Zephyrian military power. Ships that had conquered dozens of star systems found themselves outmatched by human vessels that appeared primitive but fought with capabilities that exceeded anything in known space. Advanced alien technology became worthless against opponents who understood it better than its creators. Admiral Beth Turner arrived with the human dreadnought UES Inevitable to deliver the final demonstration of overwhelming force. The massive vessel deployed weapons that the Zephyrians had never encountered and could not comprehend. Energy cascades tore through enemy formations while dimensional rifts swallowed entire squadrons of ships. Within 30 minutes, the most powerful military force in the galaxy had been reduced to burning wreckage and desperate survivors. General Vexitar's flagship drifted powerless in space with its weapons offline, and its crew trapped aboard a vessel that had become their prison. The Zephyrian Empire's reputation for invincibility died among the debris of their shattered fleet. Captain Garcia opened a communication channel to the enemy flagship and offered terms that no Zephyrian had ever expected to hear. "General Vextar," he said in a voice that carried across the battlefield to every surviving alien vessel, "humanity offers you the opportunity to surrender with honor." The transmission was broadcast throughout the galaxy as proof that humans could show mercy, even to those who had sought their destruction. News of the Zephyrian defeat spread across the galaxy, faster than hyperspace communication networks could carry official reports. Emergency sessions convened on every homeworld as civilizations that had existed for millennia suddenly faced the terrifying reality that their understanding of galactic power structures had been completely wrong. The species they had dismissed as primitive, newcomers had demonstrated military capabilities that exceeded anything in recorded history. Admiral Morrison returned to the council station with an entirely different human delegation that reflected Earth's new position in galactic affairs. General Kevin Adams took his place as humanity's true military commander alongside Admiral Janet Hill and Colonel Ryan Clark. The faces were unfamiliar to alien representatives who had grown accustomed to dealing with humans who appeared diplomatic and accommodating rather than confident and potentially dangerous. The council chamber felt different when Morrison entered to present humanity's revised terms for galactic coexistence. Representatives who had previously viewed him as an amusing curiosity now watched his every movement with the wariness of prey animals studying a predator. The casual conversations and dismissive attitudes that had characterized previous sessions were replaced by nervous silence and careful attention. Morrison activated the main display system and presented humanity's non-negotiable demands with the calm certainty of someone who held overwhelming advantages. The Terran Federation withdraws from the Galactic Council's authority structure effective immediately, he announced while star charts showed the extent of human territorial claims. We are establishing our own sphere of influence encompassing 200 star systems, including several that currently belong to other civilizations. The demands sent shockwaves through representatives who had never imagined that any species would dare challenge the established galactic order. Systems that had been controlled by various aliens for centuries were suddenly claimed by humans who possessed the military strength to enforce their territorial expansion. The balance of power that had remained stable for thousands of years was being rewritten by newcomers who refused to accept their assigned place. General Adams revealed the scope of humanity's military presence with holographic displays that showed human fleets patrolling regions of space that other species had considered their exclusive domain. All existing trade agreements and diplomatic treaties are void, he stated while highlighting shipping routes that now fell under human control. Any civilization wishing to maintain relations with Earth must renegotiate from positions that acknowledge our superior capabilities. The ethereal representative attempted to speak in their musical language, but found their crystalline structure vibrating with frequencies that indicated extreme distress. The Hive Collective delegates clicked their mandibles in patterns that suggested confusion and fear, rather than their usual arrogant confidence. Even the mechanical synthetics seemed to be experiencing computational difficulties as their logical systems struggled to process this dramatic shift in galactic reality. Dr. Patricia Lee entered the chamber, carrying data tablets that contained scientific revelations supporting humanity's new position in galactic affairs. Our archaeological expeditions have solved mysteries that your civilizations abandoned as impossible, she announced, while displaying images of ancient ruins and recovered technologies. We have unlocked the secrets of the precursor races that once ruled this galaxy, before vanishing from known space. The presentation revealed artifacts and knowledge that predated current galactic civilization by millions of years. Humans had not merely reverse-engineered alien technologies, but had learned from species that had achieved levels of advancement that made contemporary powers appear primitive by comparison. Earth had become the inheritor of scientific knowledge that other civilizations could only dream of possessing. Colonel Gary Wright stepped forward to deliver the most chilling revelation in galactic history. "We know what happened to the precursors," he stated, while images showed the ruins of worlds that had once supported advanced civilizations spanning multiple galaxy arms. They were destroyed by a coalition of species that valued peace and cooperation above strength and preparedness. The implication struck the assembly like a physical blow, as representatives realized the parallels between ancient history and their current situation. The precursors had been eliminated not by external threats or natural disasters, but by civilizations similar to the current galactic powers who had united against superior technology and knowledge. History was repeating itself with humanity cast in the role of the threatened advanced species. Admiral Hill revealed humanity's analysis of galactic political structures and their inevitable outcomes. "Your current system of cooperative governance and resource sharing creates exactly the conditions that led to precursor extinction," she explained, while displaying political models and historical patterns. "Species that refuse to acknowledge strength and superiority are doomed to be overwhelmed by those willing to use both." The chamber fell into absolute silence as the full scope of humanity's message became clear to every alien representative. Earth was not merely demanding territorial concessions or favorable trade agreements, but was fundamentally rejecting the philosophical foundations upon which galactic civilization had been built. Humans had chosen strength over cooperation and were prepared to enforce that choice through overwhelming military power over the following weeks. Reports arrived from throughout known space confirming that major galactic powers were submitting to human demands without firing a single additional shot. The ethereal collective agreed to surrender mineral rights in 12 star systems, while the Hive withdrew their fleets from territories that humans now claimed. Even the proud Vortans accepted limitations on their gas giant harvesting operations. Morrison walked through corridors that had once echoed with the conversations of equals discussing galactic affairs but now served as administrative offices for humanity's expanding bureaucracy. Alien representatives arrived only when summoned and spoke only when given permission by human officials who had assumed authority over interstellar relations. The galaxy had reorganized itself around Earth's power without requiring further demonstrations of military superiority. The transformation was complete when Morrison entered the former council chamber that now functioned as humanity's galactic command center. The curved walls displayed real-time information from human installations throughout known space, while communication networks carried orders from Earth to distant star systems. Representatives from dozens of species waited in outer offices for opportunities to request permissions that had once been their undisputed rights. Captain Wells approached, with reports from human patrol fleets that now maintained order along major space lanes. "Sir, the last holdout civilizations have agreed to our terms," she announced while reviewing diplomatic communications from species that had initially resisted human authority. "The galaxy has accepted the new reality." Morrison nodded while observing display screens that showed human ships moving freely through space that other species now traversed only with permission. Children throughout the galaxy were learning new lessons about the dangers of underestimating quiet neighbors who might be hiding unimaginable strength behind peaceful facades. The silence that had fallen over galactic civilization was not the silence of death or destruction, but the profound quiet that comes from the recognition of absolute defeat. Every alien species now understood that humanity's true power had never been their weapons or numbers, but their willingness to appear weak while becoming unstoppably strong in secret. That understanding had created a silence that would echo through the stars until the end of time.